And that was a far nicer night than the last couple. You can see I'm under some tree cover here, so the frost was actually blocked. That was nice. The ground's also warmer, which is the bigger thing as it gets cold out here. Funny thing is, around 5 a.m., maybe a little before, I started to hear like trees crashing down. So I was gonna start making jokes about Bigfoot. Seems like it's timber harvesting. When I was walking down that dirt road yesterday, I was actually passed by about 10 different vehicles. A couple of them were government plates, probably BLM National Monument people, and then the rest were visibly, hunters, racks, and things. Unfortunately, it does look like there is some moisture headed my way. I've got a couple of days. It's probably not going to hit me till the far side of Pie Town. But for today, I've got about 20 more miles of this ahead of me. I am hopeful because it has actually been fairly pleasant. I say fairly pleasant because it's been a dirt trail, fairly well maintained, yada yada. There still has been some lava rocks, and those things are so grippy. I every now and then will clip one with the bottom of my shoe and just about send myself flying. And that's all I need, another helicopter ride in New Mexico. I do think I still have the cell phone number of the state trooper that came and got me in the helicopter. So I was joking yesterday that I kind of wish the road walk was longer, since I was a little bit I was still recovering from that really rough cross-country lava section. Shouldn't have made that joke though, because I just looked ahead and Pie Town is like a 50-mile road walk. Consistent miles, and consistently beating at my feet. I'm sitting here making my second cup of coffee. Unfortunately, the water out of that green spigot at the Ranger Information Center has enough of a taste to it. I can get it down, it's fine, but I can taste it through the Starbucks via. Should get back to water sources today. I don't know quite how far I'm gonna have to go. If the first one is running and functional, I think I only have about 8 more miles. We'll have to see. Like I said, the guy that was section hiking coming the other way, he said that was kind of questionable, and he had gotten water out of a cache instead. And that cache still had about a gallon and a half. And he said he hadn't seen anybody else out here. And I haven't seen any footprints other than him. I know there's some people behind me like Hippie, but I think they're still a ways back. It is actually warm enough that I am going to forego the long johns today. And my socks were getting a little crusty, and so I decided to switch to these. These are very non-durable, Walmart versions, but if it was anything in the sock getting hardened dirt in it and rubbing against that spot here and here, this might help. What I wouldn't give for 3 or 4 more weeks of weather like this and last night. Ironically, I'm pretty sure that's what I missed out on by the whole, fall helicopter ride, 3-week recovery. Didn't realize I was this close to a road, but there have been a bunch of them out here. This is not a pristine remote wilderness. This is a Jeep/ATV accessible area. My guess is lots of hunters. So at least for the moment, feet are doing relatively well. The bigger struggle over the last couple of days has just been the kind of kidney area of my back. It keeps getting rubbed by the pack or the strap or something. That was why I was actually wearing my fleece around my waist yesterday, even when it was warm, just to make a little extra padding. I have at least managed to keep it manageable. Manageable just means any abrasions I get are enough where they kind of fully heal overnight. The worst is when you end up with a sore or a scab and you got to deal with it for, a couple of days. The rough terrain I feared back here really has not materialized. I think I came across a far out comment that was just talking about cross-country rocks and grass, and either that's in this section coming up, or it was just somebody who shortcutted on the road and was wanting to justify that. And stuff like that does happen often enough that I kind of discount any sort of fear-mongering. When Jen and I got to Sayad Valley on the PCT, it was in full swing. People were claiming the hike out of town, was covered in poison oak, fully exposed, no water, and that was all bullshit. Now, there just happened to be people who were offering rides around that section for like $60. I also hated how much of that I saw on the AT. Seemed like a lot of the hostel owners were padding out things by basically telling people, oh yeah, you don't want to do, Moosalok going northbound. It's way easier. You want to climb the northern side and then come down the southern side. So here, pay me and I'll like slack pack you and you can come back to the hostel, yada yada. I don't begrudge anybody, making a living, but I guess one of the things that really struck me when I started doing endurance stuff back after college, when I started doing long distance cycling, was I didn't realize what I was capable of. I'd gone out, I had done things, I'd gotten tired, come home and just been wiped. When I started doing bike centuries, I started to realize that you can just kind of push through things, and it's amazing what your body is capable of. Not always, obviously, your body can't screw you over, but that's really cool. And the reality of life out here, if you ask me, is the hardest part is mental. Things go wrong, things hurt, you're tired, you get lonely, you miss things back in town. And the hardest thing isn't the physicality of it. It's not, climbing all the hills on the AT or anything like that. It's just kind of the mental will to keep going. One of my big fears on every trail I do is just that whatever it is that lets me get through these is going to expire, and it's going to become, just another thing that I'm capable of doing, but it doesn't have that kind of thrill, that challenge. I was really afraid of that in the Keys on the ECT, for example. And considering the mental health struggles I have off trail, that really freaks me out, because this is something that works really well for me. If it stopped working all of a sudden, that would be a problem. Jen would say I'd just find something else, and there's a possibility, but I don't know, this long distance stuff, it's just something that really works for me. Hence why I keep kind of upping the ante. Seems like a lot of people will do one of the big hikes, and either they don't want to put themselves through that again, or they can't survive the off-trail considerations, money, etc., to do another, so they end up going on the easier ones. And you saw even when I went out on the Arizona Trail, which is relatively easy compared to the other things I've done, I had to try and make it harder, extend it up into Utah, and then when that fell apart, grand enchantment. Part of me is worried about the plan for next year, because I don't know how much like, the Alabama Road Walk on the Eastern Continental Trail, the American Discovery is going to be. Am I going to be able to find secure places to camp, etc.? But that means it's a challenge, and it's new, and it's fresh. So when I'm not worrying about it, I'm excited about it. And same with why we're going after the Yukon for the next big paddle adventure versus some of the more straightforward options that we could do. Fortunately, there is enough stuff out there just on the list I currently have to keep us busy for a long time. Even if we were able to pull off some inconceivable financial coup, and Jen and I both were just able to do this, full time, no more school year restrictions. There's just so much. And there's new proposals coming out all the time. Different ways to do things. Hell, I really want to get a touring bike. That's one of the things when I'm in town I've been trying to research. So if anybody can offer advice on building out a touring bike for some extensive trips, please email me. Always happy to have advice from people who have already, made purchases and learned lessons. And the reality is, you never know how long you got. Health things can crop up out of nowhere, as I have unfortunately learned with a series of very bad developments of friends over the last however many years. When I was doing bike centuries, I jumped into it with my usual sense of moderation, aka no moderation whatsoever. First 6 months I had my road bike. I did 12 and a half bike centuries in addition to a lot of other riding. Now it was 12 and a half bike centuries because I ended up with an overuse injury. And all of a sudden the kind of social network I was building up around all of that, including somebody I was pretty sure I was going to end up on a date with fairly quickly after that, just all kind of crumbled because I wasn't able to do the activity. And when I've had my various knee issues over the years, which have always been a struggle, you know, and when I took that 25-foot fall during that mountaineering trip, I really didn't know what I was going to be able to do from there on out. I felt like there was a distinct possibility I may not be able to, you know, get deep in the Sierra and lead all these things and teach the wilderness class and stuff like that. And that really scared me. And one way or another, I've always fought my way back out here. For a couple of years, that involved every step causing me knee pain. But dealing with pain, dealing with discomfort was better than the alternative, which was staying home, staying inside. So every year I would do an early season trip to kind of get used to the altitude. You know, camp at 11,000 feet or so. And each time I just remember feeling so happy. You know, it was a sense of victory getting back into the backcountry each and every year. And I've just kind of always carried that forward. I figure there's a good chance I'll still be out here doing things, but you just never know. So I take a lot of joy in the start of every season, but the other side of that is every time I have a setback with the potential of, you know, taking me off trail, off river, etc., I tend to get highly frustrated and take that pretty hard. On the PCT, it was my Achilles. On the Mississippi, there was that period of a couple of days where my shoulders were just killing me. It wasn't just, you know, soreness popping, it was feeling like something was wrong. And we took it easy and we were able to continue. And that's what I do every time I'm out here and something big happens. But look at that whole helicopter thing. This is actually the second guy I've seen. Didn't get video of the first. Man, lovely weather and lovely trail. This must mean I'm about to be in for it. Maybe that's the big storm that's coming later in the week. You know, it's funny, I don't think I've seen a single animal in days, if not longer. I've seen some fresh deer poop, but haven't even been seeing deer. Big change from into Colorado, start in New Mexico. Oh, this is just a lovely day. Or I should say, a lovely day so far. Still time for a nice storm to materialize. Never did get that tornado that Jen and I were talking about on the Mississippi. Or I was talking about and Jen was scolding me about. Though the funny thing is, like a week after we finished, somebody did send me a picture of a water spout from somewhere down around New Orleans. I do appreciate that all these fences in this section have had an easy up, because just climbing over straight barbed wire really sucks. That one was still a little tricky. It can be nice to have a partner or somebody else around to hold down the wire as you step over, you know, to avoid the ye old rusty DIY vasectomy routine. So these are really interesting. You've probably seen them across the trail or along the trail in a lot of days. I assume it's just what the ants are doing underground kills the vegetation off and you get this. Kind of looks like the desert version of a fairy circle. So cows running away usually means a water source. And sure enough. So this is the end of that 26-mile stretch, which was really low stress. I have had other hikers complain about cows, but honestly, ranch land is some of the mellower of the terrain out there. Plus, you actually have water sources. So yeah, this isn't bad. Somebody did say they found a dead bird in it, but yeah. So normally I try and get it from an outflow pipe. Unfortunately, the one here is actually underwater. If I push this down, I can actually hear it putting water in here. So, is what it is. There are particulates, but you know, this is what a filter's for. You know, it's funny. Part of the reason why I use the Sawyer, or formerly the Quick Draw before all their issues, is because it can be back flushed, though I've never had the best luck as far as it returning it to, you know, good shape. I did run across something that said the reason they include the syringe is to properly back flush it, you need to be able to deliver more power than you can just using the freshwater nozzle. Basically, you can screw something onto the top and flush water through using another smart water bottle, which is what we used to do. Since I've started carrying the syringe, I've noticed back flushing having a much bigger effect. So there you go. It's worth carrying the plastic. So this is the syringe the Sawyer comes with. Like I said, it's kind of a real pain in the butt because you got to kind of, I usually plug it with my finger, fill it up, and then you force the water through. But does seem to noticeably work better. I was never a huge believer of back flushing other than, you know, bringing a filter from catastrophic just to really, really bad. But this is flowing pretty good. So I know I have some friends from out east who watch this who are kind of fascinated by the whole kind of like water situation out west. Because, you know, East Coast, I think I had like a 20-mile water carry on the AT, but most of the time it was significantly shorter. So in this case, I filtered. Whenever I filter, I usually drink most of 1.5 liters. I basically fill that 1.5 liter bottle up until it is to where the bottle starts to curve. Dump in a packet of Crystal Light Fruit Punch, and that helps me chug that really, really quick. I've done that for a long time. Basically, I came to the realization that I was feeling much worse in the mountains than I should have been because I was dehydrated. So that's my way of just kind of forcing down a basic amount of water. As far as the carry, I have another reliable water source in 8 miles. So that'll probably be my nighttime fill up. I do have a couple of water caches on either side that I could have taken advantage of. However, I would rather use the well sources like this, quite frankly. It's not that I'm just overjoyed to be filtering or anything. The water caches are really nice. Part of me just really doesn't like using up a water cache. It is a finite resource. When I need it, I will absolutely use it. But here, it's in between 2 water sources that are, you know, renewable and that I can use. And I mean, there are a couple of people who were posting from behind me, so I am most likely not the last person this year. Now, they could take the brown line shortcut and not come out this way, but still better to have it there in case somebody really needs it. Also, those cheap gallon bottles that are used for the caches, like what was it, day before yesterday, before I got to the Ranger water, I filled out of a cache. That tasted really plasticky. I think when they're left out in the sun, it's kind of dissolving stuff into the water sometimes, because after they've been out here for a while, like if I poke any of those Lava Flow Hostile water bottles, they just break instantly. And I think fundamentally there is just some sort of appeal to me on a deep level, you know, collecting water from water sources along the way versus somebody leaving a supermarket gallon just waiting by the side of the road. So here's the actual sort of like navigational challenge you hit on the CDT. You see I was going on a cow trail here and it goes straight, and that looks better established than the thing on the left. Now, the thing on the left is actually the CDT. Now here it's a little easier because A, somebody put wood across the trail. That's a pretty universal sign of, hey idiot, this isn't the way. And you can see there is a cairn in the background. But you can see if you're just walking along why I every now and then end up going on this sort of branch instead of that sort of branch and getting off trail. Now, personally, anytime I'm talking about a navigational challenge on the CDT, I'm going to have like air quotes around it in my mind. Reason being, we all have magical phones with the ever so amazing Far Out app these days. So we have a GPS track and an arrow that says where we are relative to said GPS track. Now, in the olden days, I've talked to people that did this trail, a few decades ago. Completely different. You got a map and you're just having to make do. I've heard stories about old days on the PCT where apparently one of the core experiences was running into somebody in the middle of nowhere coming the opposite direction. You're both doing the PCT and pulling out your paper maps and arguing about which way was right and which way was wrong. Somewhere around here, I sadly depart the divide again. This is the first one of these lava flow caches that actually has water in it. But of course, it's between two good water sources, so. I assume that's Mount Taylor. Looks like it. Well, this is my off-trail water source, and I think I'm about to cause some not so minor consternation as I get closer. Pretty sure these guys are used to being fed. When I grabbed my phone, a bunch of them got really excited. Kind of wishing I just carried more from the last, but oh well. So lots of water. Nothing coming out of the pipe, unless the wind goes more, but I have to figure out how to get to it. So yeah, not enough wind to get anything out of the pipe, but that hole was just big enough for me to fit my C-knock inside of. These cows seem very used to being around people. I'm pretty sure a rancher must come out here and drop food with the way they all got up and came over. I thought I was about to meet the rancher. A fancy ATV came up, but hunters. They were apparently out here looking for elk. Okay, leaving the tank to my friends back there. I filled up just the hard-sided stuff, so I've got 4 liters on me. That'll get me through the remainder of today, and it does look like there are some water sources along the road, so I decided no need to go too crazy. There was a backcountry byway I could have used to get out to the start of the road walk, but oh well. I'm here for the Continental Divide Trail, not Continental Divide Road Walk. Hey, what do you know? Back on the lava flows. I was planning to camp near the road. I may end up having to go down the road and hope I get lucky here. Took me a little while to figure out where this entered the lava field. I have a sneaking suspicion I might have trouble finding a camp tonight. I did end up on a grassy meadow like that, but it was still all lava rock. Okay, first functional campsite. I am done for the night. Functional meaning non-volcanic. So I could actually camp in this depression, but I can feel how much colder it is in there. So keeping on. I keep losing time checking options, but so far no dice. Okay, well, cow field it is. No volcanic rock, and it is getting cold. Okay, well, crappy camp, but a good day. I made good miles. The only issue I was having was the pack rash thing that's on my side. And I should be set up pretty good to get to Pie Town. Tomorrow I'll go to TC Ranch. Probably won't stay there. I'll try and get a little closer. And then my hope will be to get to Pie Town, get my stuff, and then get out of Pie Town the next day. I am looking at potentially getting a room in reserve, you know, that I can do laundry and do all that stuff. There is a place that'll come get you at the trailhead because apparently that hitch can be kind of bad. Home sweet home for the night. Man, this looks more impressive on video than it does in person. Oh, that's a first.